No matter where you are, the Sloman Shield home security system guards your home. With next-gen perimeter protection, 24/7 monitoring, and interior motion sensing. And right now, get a free Sloman Shield security system and doorbell camera, all professionally installed, for free.
Shield your world, the Sloman Shield.
If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your inner Miami CS, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or innermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where inner Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.
All right, we bring you in. It is the Squared Circle Digest. I am Sean Stanley, and good to see everybody already in the chat. Boss B, Steve, AKW Beats. And Raw, not too bad tonight. I didn't focus 100% on it. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. I watched the Panthers get swept, and then I watched the Heat just yeah, I'm not sure what happened there, but they played some basketball. That's about it. Raw, not too bad, not a terrible show. When you look at again, they got a couple weeks. I think their pay-per-view is right after it's the first weekend of June, which is what is that, the 4th, 5th, I believe. Somewhere around there. That's when the Hell in the Cell pay-per-view will be. And tonight's show, what I did like about it was they didn't cram everything in, right? They didn't cram it. They didn't cram and just like, hey, we got to get everybody in. Theory wasn't on the show tonight. And also he's holding the U.S. title. So that's probably why he wasn't on the show, because they're not going to, push the secondary titles anyways. But overall, I didn't think it was terrible. They set up for a lot of the upcoming pay-per-view, the Hell in the Cell, Lashley and MVP, and almost kind of were the focus this week, and then also the women's match. And Steve says, recorded tonight's Raw, was watching my Celtics get back in the series. The man with two first names would say, I'm not a real wrestling fan. Yeah, I know. Well, I can tell you now, I DVR'd and I started watching, and then I jumped in, and then with the way everything was playing out, I ended up watching Raw at the end, because I am not a Celtics fan, and so I didn't want to sit there and continue watching that ass kicking. Didn't watch entire show, forgot to record. I was doing schoolwork. Hey, it happens, Boss B. It happens. Yeah, but Miz wasn't on that long, actually. Him and Cody, the Miz took on Cody Rhodes tonight, and the match didn't go that long. But again, they did a lot of setting up this week for the pay-per-view, the Hell in the Cell pay-per-view. Of course, Rollins comes out and attacks Steve. I'm going to ruin some of this stuff for you, so I apologize now. Riddle started the show and was said that Randy Orton had a back injury before the match last week on SmackDown, and now he's out of action for a little bit. We'll see where they go with this, okay, with RK Bro and the Usos. They had Sami Zayn and the Usos against Street Profits and Riddle. Now, again, there was a leaked, I don't even know if it's a report, because some of these dirt sheets, you don't know who to believe and who not to. It looked like the next 3 opponents for Roman Reigns is going to be Riddle at Hell in the Cell, supposedly. Then Randy Orton, I believe it's at Money in the Bank. And then Drew McIntyre at Clash at the Castle. So if those 3 line up, it looks like possibly maybe on SmackDown this week, you might see, if this is, truth, then you're probably going to see Riddle get involved more with Roman Reigns at the SmackDown, and he did say that he was going to go after, the bloodline for what they've done to Randy Orton. So we'll see how this plays out. Derek's in now. He says, "What's up, dude? Thanks for the honesty. Come here to see what happened because I only saw the last match." Yeah. Well, the last match is pretty damn good, actually. Asuka and Becky. Becky wins it, and now I guess it's going to be a triple threat at Hell in the Cell. Bianca Belair, Becky Lynch, and Asuka. So, again, not a terrible match. Again, not a terrible night of wrestling. Judgment Day did a promo in the ring, and the more I watch it, the more I start liking even more with what Edge is doing. Again, this is good for Edge because it's allowing him, one, to work with younger wrestlers, but two, also to just rest his body in a way, not have to be out there and wrestling every damn week. And you saw AJ Styles and Liv Morgan take on Priest and Ripley. Of course, Priest and Ripley wins it. But ultimately, I think, again, I think you're going to see a 6-man mixed at Hell in the Cell, and I think we'll see. Again, if everybody leans towards Finn turning and joining the Judgment Day, then probably what will happen is AJ Styles, or even, I know it's not going to be Liv Morgan. I don't think you can do two women in the faction. So it's going to be AJ or Finn, or even maybe Tommaso Ciampa. We'll have to see where they go for me. Seems to me that Orton and McIntyre are the only ones worthy of facing Reigns. I mean, they're the only ones that kind of have built-in storylines already for Reigns, I guess, in a way. But Riddle could be thrown in there with the way they did the, again, Reigns costed RK Bro the tag team titles. So now you at least have a working palette to go with Riddle. It's not just him thrown in there and just given a title shot. So we'll have to see where they go from there. And Dad, what's going on, sir? And we'll have to see where they go from there and what they do. Again, it's one of those things where I don't think Riddle's, does Riddle seem to you to be a name that would win and beat Roman Reigns when you sit there and you look at the names on the roster? Does Riddle jump off at you and say he's the one that's going to unseat Roman Reigns? No. The only one that really does right now, and the only reason I say this is because it'll be the Clash of the Castle, and it'll be in his hometown or his home country, or however you want to say, would be Drew McIntyre right now. Honestly, I don't see Randy Orton being the one to unseat him either. I can see Riddle and Randy Orton playing a role in Drew McIntyre winning. The bloodline gets involved, Orton and Riddle get involved somehow, boom, and then you take the belt off of Roman. But as I said, if you do that, you kind of stop the freight train of momentum that the bloodline's built up. Let's see, 305 in the 505 says Roman will hold the belt all the way until WrestleMania. There really isn't anybody who could beat him. We will see. No, 100%. 305 and 505, I agree 100%. But if you do want to take the title off of him, my only looking at the roster the way it is would be Drew McIntyre at Clash in the Castle. If the three that are laid out for the next 3 pay-per-views are right, because again, remember, I heard Roman was taking time off and only doing the big stadium shows, meaning your big 4. I guess, well, I think Hell in the Cell's actually, is that at Allegiant or is it Money in the Bank's at Allegiant? One of them's going to be at the Vegas. So we'll see. The countouts are really quick from when I started watching tonight. Yeah, no, they did. You're referring to the MVP, Boss B? Yeah, they did. I thought they did well on that, honestly. When I first saw it, I was like, ugh, count out? But then, again, what was on the line for whoever won the match was them getting the stipulation for the Hell in the Cell match between Omos and Bobby Lashley. So with the way everything played out, again, you kind of cheat Lashley, and then we'll see how it goes from there. I did think there was going to be a count out in the women's match. It didn't happen, but it was kind of odd because she rolls back in and then gets pinned like right away after she kicked Bianca Belair. But of course, it's Becky Lynch, so we'll see there. 305 and the 505. It's Money in the Bank. Okay, he's in Vegas. All right. Well, you're going to have to give me some reports from there when you do that. Yeah, and the Becky Lynch. Yep. Trying to think here what else happened. Alexa Bliss was in a match with Nikki ASH. I'm not sure what they're doing with her character right now. I don't know where it stands because, again, with what we saw of her before and now she's come back, and I don't know that and maybe that's what they want it to be, is like you don't know what to expect with her. But I don't know what to think of her right now. I don't know where she stands at. I don't know. It's very bland. It really feels to me that they've just kind of like, she just really feels like she has no focus. She's winning, but there's really not much of focus on her and on the character. So I have to see where they do and build her back up and see what happens. Sorry, I was looking at the Bob's Burgers movie just coming out on Friday. So I know my daughter's probably going to want to go watch that, or we'll see. But the Alexa Bliss is very mind-boggling to me. The fact that they had such a high volumed character in Alexa Bliss, and somehow you couldn't figure out what to do. And I know she took some time off and this and that, but it just, oh my goodness. Yeah, Boss B, I got that. I'm going to give Kim a call and reach out to her. So I appreciate that. Those that don't know, Boss B went to Ignite in Vero. So one of the South local shows here in Florida. So, and then he hooked me up with some information. So we're going to try to get some of those wrestlers on here as well, and then see. And again, if you have anything in your area, if you're wherever you're at, just get that information, send it to me. You can see my handles right there at Sean_Stanley11. That's on Twitter and Instagram, and we'll try to get everything set up. I want to start doing more interviews. It's in the works. I've got a couple feelers sent out to some names, so we'll see if they can do it. I'm kind of staying away from with WWE. Usually you have to get it okayed through them, and that is a pain in the ass. But AEW is not as bad, so we'll see if we get some. Again, it's going to be a mixture. Some people some people you don't know, and you'll learn about them as we go through, and use this platform to help and spread some light on some promotions that are running that maybe you don't know about. And like I said, everybody listens around the world and downloads the podcast around the world. So if you're hearing the podcast afterwards, just hit me up on Twitter. If you know any federations, send me the information, point of contact, email, phone number, whatever it is, and we'll reach out and get that rolling. AEW, not a lot happening there. There's some things going on in AEW that it's going to be interesting to see. Let's see here. Some updates on the Naomi and Sasha walkout, which is still going on now. Apparently they've been suspended indefinitely. But this is from Fightful Select. They said, to clarify, a rumor that emerged today was reiterated to us by numerous talent and staff that Sasha Banks and Naomi left during WWE Raw at the start of the show. Many people we spoke to theorized that once the show started, they wouldn't discuss the issue further with Vince McMahon because he'd be too busy. As of 7:15 Eastern time, this was the Monday Night Raw last week, the originally planned six-way match was still listed internally, but no producer or ref listed. Becky Lynch's backstage segments were listed, but none for any of the other participants were at that point. Many of our readers have noted that Sasha and Naomi have been removed from WWE Shop and their WWE Facebook accounts were removed. WWE controls official Facebook accounts, and they're generally created for the specific character for promotional reasons. Twitter accounts are created, owned, and managed by the performer themselves. WWE does not have control over them. In regards to Shop, they were told this is part of the indefinite suspension, and WWE reiterated to us it does not indicate any sort of release. See here. Jimmy Uso is not expected to be affected professionally by any of the actions from Naomi. And we'll have to see. We'll have to see where it goes from there. Boss B said CCW has a show this Saturday, June 4th in Hialeah, Bash of the Brew. Yeah, I saw something about that. I need to start getting out there, but these next couple weeks are not good. We've got the Tortugas coming up. We've got some things going on. I got a couple trips planned with the family. So, Boss B, I'm going to need you to keep me in the loop on some of these. But starting in probably August, July, the end of July, maybe after NBA Summer League, once that gets settled down, we'll probably start going out to more of these local events and trying to get a setup and get some interviews there also at the show. And then also hitting some of the cons. There's a WrestleCon that's going to be happening. Well, of course, the one, what is it? I think it's July 28th through the 31st. That's the one that's going to have Ric Flair's last match. Ricky Steamboat has withdrawn his name, I guess. So apparently he will not be a part of the last match, and apparently Ric Flair passed all physicals, supposedly. So we'll have to see where that goes. See what else happened in the wrestling world. Do you want to take a look at the ratings on AEW? Rampage was watched by 410,000. So again, that went down from the week before, and Fox did over 2.031. I'm sorry. That was their highest total since April 15th. Compared to last week, actually Rampage went up because last week they had a 5:30 start time. They were up 21%. They were down from the 2 weeks before. So numbers slowly going up. I don't understand the way the numbers are working for AEW. I don't. When you look at their the last previous AEW numbers, and I want to get this real quick because it was brought to my attention. The match with Jeff Hardy and Adam Cole was the least watched segment on the show. Trying to see right here. Yeah, the segment dropped almost 200 and something thousand. Not sure what changed there at about 10 o'clock. That was on Wednesday night, which would have been, I believe, a Golden State Dallas game. So I'm not sure what actually happened there. Jaime, what's up, buddy? All you West Coast wrestling fans there now. What's funny is, even though it was the worst viewed on the live, it's been the most viewed YouTube for AEW. So apparently, why watch it live when we can see it on YouTube? So it's gonna be interesting the next couple weeks. I would say they got their pay-per-view this week, and then let's see where they go. Is this going to be a reset? Still very interested in the CM Punk Hangman Adam Page storyline. I'm more interested to see the way AEW handles if they take the title off of Hangman Adam Page and put it on CM Punk. With everybody that's on the chat right now, what do you think? Would you put the title on CM Punk or would you keep it on Hangman Adam Page right now? What would you do if you were Tony Khan? You're in charge of AEW right now. Do you keep the title on Hangman Adam Page or are you putting the title on CM Punk? I mean, CM Punk's always been that guy. He's going to speak his mind. He's going to voice whatever he wants. You know, again, that's one of the things that CM Punk does, and that's on Boss. He said, "What do you think of CM Punk's shirt?" You know, I mean, to each their own. He's got his. You know, they're able to, and you know, kudos to him. He's been called out a little bit this week because he jumped on the Sasha bandwagon, and not saying it's a wrong thing to do, but one of the things he didn't do was Big Swole was released from AEW a while ago. Last year, Tony Khan was in a podcast saying, you know, he loved how she wrestled. This year she was released, and it was released because she wasn't doing that well wrestling. So now everybody's kind of jumped on, like, where was that rage for when it's happening inside AEW as well? Again, it's the evolution of AEW. The honeymoon period is over. Every little thing they can nitpick, they are going to nitpick now. And this is the latest line in that. And CM Punk kind of got thrown into it because he stated, you know, everything about, you know, Sasha speaking her mind and walking out and things like that. So let's see here. Boss B, leave it on Page. Steve Chapman, Punk, only because I've heard of him before, so I think he's a bigger name. But what do I know? You know what's interesting is, Steve, when you say that, CM Punk hasn't changed. Nobody that they've brought in has really changed the needle. Nobody they brought in has they were doing about between 900 and 1.1 before they got all the names, and they're still doing between 900 and 1.1, even with all the names. It is such a weird dynamic because I look at it every week and it just amazes me. And I sit here every week and I know, and Boss B says, you know, it's rushed. And I don't know if that's what it is. I don't understand it. It's very weird to me. And again, 1.1 doesn't sound like a lot, but in this day it is. I know in WCW and the Monday Night Wars, it was 4 3s and 4 2s and all that. That doesn't happen nowadays. That those days are long gone. I mean, Raw has been leading on Monday nights before the NBA playoffs started, and they were doing 1.5s, 1.6, and they were leading cable TV. And it's a weird time because there's so many places to get everything. And Ballsby, it might be the writing and the time. And again, I liked Raw tonight because they allowed some of the angles to play out, and it gave them maybe a couple of them maybe more time than they probably should have. But I like that better than just rushing everything and just not allowing. At least let me sit here and invest and say, you know what? I'm invested in that angle. I'm invested into the whole MVP, Lashley, almost the triple threat, the women's. At least it allows me to sit here and say, you know what? Okay, I can get into this one instead of just being like, what the hell just happened? And now I'm already into the next match. It's the same thing with when you're working a match. You allow, when you hit a move, sometimes I think, and Boss Me, you go to the independent shows, and again, maybe it's a little bit too slow on some matches, but one of the things that I loved about the independent shows was that you got to work different styles. And one of the things that we were always told is, if you think you're going too slow, slow it down. You know what I'm saying? Allow, when you hit a move, you hit an elbow and they take the bump down, let them sell it. Why hit the elbow and then pick them right back up? The whole object in wrestling is to win the match. You can't win the match if you have them standing up unless you hook them with a submission. But again, it goes to, and again, this is some old school thinking as well. So I get it. Wrestling evolves and things like that. But to me, the one thing that doesn't change is the fact that there's fans, whether they're out, watching on TV in the crowd, that you have to win over or you have to get to hate you. And again, when you're wrestling, and for a TV camera, it's the little things, your faces, your body language, how you're showing the pain and all that stuff. Those little things draw fans in. Hell, the tag team match on SmackDown had men and kids and everybody else crying, people throwing stuff, people upset at the end of SmackDown. It was crazy, but they got them to buy in and invest in that feud. Again, remember, it was set up to be on a pay-per-view. Roman said, no, that's canceled. It's going to be a 6-man. It's going to be the Bloodline, Drew McIntyre and RK Bro. Now they run it on SmackDown. And of course, the Bloodline cheats. They win it. But again, the story allowed you to get invested, not just from the pay-per-view, but then they ran it. They kept going with it. And they allowed you that time to believe and buy into it to where you could have the feeling that if you wanted RK Bro to win the titles, you were upset. And then not only were you upset that they lost the titles, but then they beat down your favorite wrestlers. They beat them down and left them laying. Put Riddle through the table, used the steps on Randy Orton. And again, you're able to take that in and either your anger, all those things. That's the one thing, and I know Steve Chapman's not going to like this. That's the one thing that The Miz is so good at. He gets you to buy in and just hate his ass so much that you want to watch him get it kicked. It's that Weasley thing that he does, that as soon as he starts talking to Mike, you're just instantly like, this mofo. Let's see, Bossy C. Like an old show I listened to that I missed. You were saying people grew up on WWF, WWE, so people gravitate to it more. But again, and also it's the product. I mean, before when you said wrestling, you always thought WWE. I mean, that was the only show in town. You've had Impact, you've had TNA, you've had, the other federations, and TNA, had an opportunity to be more. But I just don't think they were ran properly. And then you had people go there to make money and paychecks and everything else. So it's one of those things where I think WWE has that name value. And it's one of those things. AEW has the little cult following, but they have their cult loyal following. And I don't think they only cater to their fans. That's why I don't think they're going to be able to, until they change the way their format of how they do their shows. I don't think they're going to get the casual wrestling fan to go to AEW. They just don't, because I think when casual wrestling fans think wrestling, they think WWE. They think WWF. They think, the Roman Reigns that you see on Fox, The other thing, AEW, why are you not, I get it, you can't advertise like on Fox and some of those other things, but why are you not advertising on some of these other shows? You're going by word of mouth. And to be honest, most of the people that like AEW are already in that circle. They're not gonna throw that out there to anybody new. You ain't getting new casual wrestling fans from any of the AEW fans. You're not. They're when I'm on Twitter, it's the same fans that talk AEW. It's the same fans that talk WWE as well. But the thing that changes is that WWE is more mainstream. AEW's trying to get there. They've done the carpool karaoke. They've done some of the other things to try to get some of their guys, their names out there. But also another thing that is, if you're a casual wrestling fan and you've grown up on WWE, and I got to figure out how to say this the right way, is when you think of wrestlers, you think of Roman Reigns. You think of Drew McIntyre, Bobby Lashley, Brock Lesnar, John Cena. Big guys. Big guys. Who do you have in AEW that's a big guy? Wardlow? Other than that, who? Who fits that WWE big guy mold in AEW? Because casual wrestling fans usually think big guys are your champions. Not saying that Hangman on Page is the wrong guy to be carrying the title. I'm not saying that at all. But again, casual wrestling fans who are used to seeing WWE and think that is wrestling, your big guys are the champions. And who in AEW fits that mold? I know most of you have seen the memes. If you haven't, check them out on wrestling Twitter. They had, the heel faction of WWE, and it's the Bloodline. And then the heel faction of AEW, and it's the Undisputed Elite. And when you look at that, and again, wrestling has evolved, and then there's wrestlers of all shapes and sizes and everything else. But for casual wrestling fans, you're looking at Roman Reigns and the Usos, and you're looking at Adam Cole, the Young Bucks, Kyle O'Reilly, and Bobby Fish, who to you look like the wrestlers. And I think that's one of the stigmas that AEW is going to have to get through. Right or wrong. And I don't believe in that. I believe that, Adam Cole is one of the freaking, dude, I don't even know if you can see it, but right here, this card right here, it was Adam Cole against Johnny Vandal, and I fought Roderick Strong in 2014. Then he was a young Adam Cole, and he was still 3,000 times more talented than I'll ever be at that point. And then you make it to WWE for 5-6 more years of independence. But I think the stigma that AEW is going to have to get through, whether it's right or whether it's wrong or whether it's how you feel, is that, unfortunately, casual wrestling fans think champions are your big guys. You don't have that in AEW. See, Steve says, actually, his matches aren't my problem. It's the stupid Miz TV that I hate. It's like watching high school play, terrible acting. Kevin Owens is much better at making his character believable, in my honest opinion. Yeah, but it's two different characters, man. KO is the wise ass that'll kick your ass as well. Whereas Miz is the one that talks, and then runs. He ducks, he cowards, he tries to get out, and his feeble attempt at trying to get heat by being a villain ref. I'm not buying what he's selling. Look at Steve Chapman. Just if it's not Ronda Rousey or Charlotte Flair, I'm not here for it. What do you think of Kylan King? I love her. I wish she would have stuck more with AEW. I wish she would have stuck on, but at that time they had a full women's roster. They had her on there a lot during the COVID. I think she just was on, where was she at? I think she just won a title at one of the women's shows. I can't think of the name of it now. I have to go back through and look at it, but she's very talented, just like Anna Diaz too. Those two, work a lot with Gangrel in them, and you can see it, man. You can see the just the other thing. What also I saw was Paige Van Zandt is training at CCW with Gangrel in them, and she actually looks like she's catching on pretty well. Because I don't know if anybody was aware of this, but originally she was going to be in a match with Ethan Page or Scorpio Sky and Paige Van Zandt against Sammy and Ty Conti. But they didn't feel that she was ready, so they had to back out of it. And all of a sudden she disappeared. But she is working now. I saw her she was doing some flips into a springboard elbows and a sit-out slam, and she looks like she's catching on pretty good. And again, she's a good athlete, and usually if you're a good athlete, you're gonna catch on, pretty well. Is it gonna be fluid at first? No, but that's why they put you in with your veterans to get you through, and that's also why back in the day when you had debuting guys, the enhancement talent, the jobbers, whatever you want to call them, those guys were there to put people at ease because their job was to put that person over. And they used the same guys in and out. George South, the Italian Stallion in NWA. You had Barry Horowitz, Iron Mike Sharp in WWE or WWF at that time, Gangrel's a great dude. That dude will probably give you the shirt off. That dude will give you the shirt off his back. I'd probably even say probably. He would. He's a very good dude. One of the realest dudes. I wish he would not have had the injury issues he had, and he could have gotten everything out of the WWE that he deserves. The Brood run and everything there. I wish, talking about guys that deserve it that didn't, body kind of let him down and things like that. But hey, he's making the most of it now, and he's training the next crop of wrestlers, and pretty damn good actually. Doing real good. All right, we're going to go for a couple more minutes here, and then I'm going to cut it down. Got an early morning. Got some audio and stuff to cut up and get posted. Any more questions? Don't forget, if you're listening to this on the podcast, at Sean_Stanley11. I appreciate everybody that's been adding followers to me. I appreciate that. And the questions, once you get them to me, I answer them and get them back out to you. And of course, you can always be on the chat or hit me at bigoradioshow@yahoo.com. Wasn't he linked to Luna Vachon? And I'm confusing him with someone else. No, he was married to Luna Vachon. Yeah, they were married. And then they got divorced. Yep. I believe they're married on Halloween. I believe it was Halloween they got married. Yep. Vampire Warrior. He wrestled down here as Vampire Warrior, and then when he went up to WWE, became Gangrel, of course, and then the Gangrel stuck. Yeah, she passed away young. Yep. Yes. Way too young. But, again, they lived hard, man. They lived hard. All right, guys, I'm going to call it a night. I appreciate everybody that's been here. Don't forget, Wednesday night, we will be back here. And follow me, again, at Sean_Stanley11, Twitter, Instagram. I will be posting some updates. Hopefully, I'll have something by the end of the week on some upcoming possible interviews. Anyone listening or watching, check out the independent scene. Well worth it. No, 100%. 100%, especially this day right now, because you have a lot of guys touring on the independent scenes. You can get to see a lot of people. Let's see. Looking forward to seeing Veer and Kevin tomorrow. I guess Steve's going to watch tomorrow. All right, guys. As always, I appreciate everybody listening. And like I said, reach out to me on Instagram, Twitter, at Sean_Stanley11. And as I end every show, in the words of the great Gordon Soley, so long from the Sunshine State.
Oh, great. You got a doorbell camera. Now you got a front row seat to your house getting robbed.
No.
And there's nothing you can do about it.
Get out of my house!
Oh, Mom's jewelry. There goes the TV. I'm sure it'll turn up at the pawn shop.
No!
Just because you can see them, that doesn't mean you can stop them. With Sloman's, you get 24-hour monitoring, a free home security system, and professional installation. Plus, a free doorbell camera.
Free?
One that'll actually work for you. It's not total security unless it's the Sloman Shield. Call 1-800-ALARM-ME.